Greetings, fellow investigators, and welcome to our video podcast, Into the Darkness, where my friends and I are playing the Delta Green role-playing game. I'm your host, Thom Raley. The scenario is Lover in the Ice. It was written by Caleb Stokes, and it's part of the Delta Green universe. I am the handler, and this is episode 2. Our recap will be given by Dan DePolis as his character, Agent Elkhorn. I would like to mention that this scenario has some very gross body horror and violence of a sexual nature. So if you would rather not, we have a lot of other less graphic content for you to enjoy. I'd also like to mention that we have some new patrons. Um, Good in His name is Good is Not Nice, has pledged a generous $10 a month. Phil H., a longtime patron, has increased his pledge to $6.36. He's probably paying in some foreign currency. And Sigurd Jur has pledged $1 a month. This is amazing. Our deep thanks to Good is Not Nice, Phil, and Sigurd. So without any further delay, let's continue our journey into the darkness. Dan?
Case log number 1247. Report made Friday, January 6th, 2017. During the course of my standard duties, I, Agent Elkhorn, was contacted by an agency handler on Thursday, January 5th, 2017. I, along with the assembled team, was made aware of a potential case involving the preternatural centering around a climatic anomaly with a point of origin in the vicinity of Lafontaine, Missouri. Conditions of extreme cold hit the area on January 2nd and have caused general failure of infrastructure and utilities in the area. We were advised that a clandestine materials cache, or green box, may have been compromised in Lafontaine. Our task is to rule out the possibility that materials stored in an agency facility contributed to a natural disaster. We began by tying in with a contact at the local utility company in Lafontaine to establish a preliminary line of inquiry. Upon first contact with the utility company, we discovered that our agency-friendly contact, Skip Mills, who is responsible for looking after the green box, has been exhibiting odd behavior and failing to report to work. Since we could not make contact with Mills, we elected to get eyes on the green box, a storage unit at a local facility. It had been compromised by a fallen tree that broke down the exterior door, leaving the interior and its contents unsecured and partially exposed to the elements. Inside the unit, we found an array of currently unidentified objects. Important to note is the presence of a black, tar-like liquid throughout the container and on the surface of several of the objects. We carefully stowed the items for transport in our vehicle, collected security footage of the facility, and returned to our accommodations to methodically identify, catalog, and safely store the objects from the green box. A team is going to make contact with Mills at his residence while the cataloging occurs.
All right. So you are all still at the hotel suite. What are you going to do? What are your plans?
I believe it was at Alarm and Delilah were going to remain in Index while the 3 remaining agents were going to make contact with Mills.
That was the notion. Since Agent Curie admitted experience with medical issues, but wanted definitely to have some physical backup in case the situation is dangerous. That was the division we were considering.
Now, Curie, do you have any PPE for us?
Yes, I do. Face masks, nitrile gloves. I could probably procure some like gowns, surgical gowns, that kind of thing. I don't have anything to the level of hazmat.
Oh,
But,
that'll do.
At least take some, N95s and some nitrile gloves, at the very least.
Is there a first aid kit in the hallway?
Of the hotel?
Yes.
I don't think I've ever seen that before.
I think didn't we ask the nice lady at the facility for something to that end? She gave us radios. If we didn't already ask, you could probably make that your first stop since it's across the street.
Yeah, because I'd be interested in the hydrogen peroxide or alcohol.
There might be. We can say that the gear that was provided to you by Delta Green probably has some med kits in it.
I'm at least carrying a first aid kit.
Okay, then I'll start loading all this equipment into the vehicle.
Okay. Before that happens, Agent Bones, you guys are on the second floor, right?
Sure.
You step out of the door and you take a few steps down the hall, and down where the stairs are, a police officer is just coming up the stairs, and he sees you and the way you're dressed, and his eyes brighten and he starts walking towards you.
I will put my hand up for a handshake.
He says,
Nice to meet you.
I'm sorry to bother you. Are you the FEMA people?
Yes, I'm Mac Davidson, the FEMA Ops Supervisor.
I was just speaking to Miss Tanya over at the
Oh, sure.
utilities. I'm Officer Filigree.
Well, pleasure to meet you, officer.
I've in all the confusion of what's been going on, I was hoping that maybe I could take a look at the power grid and see which houses are have power.
So you were thinking about tagging along with us?
Well, no, not necessarily. I was told that you had access to the grid on the computer. Take a look and see what's going on there. Where I'm, you wanted, you can do a psychology roll.
Human?
Yeah.
Okay. 14 out of 40.
He stammers a little as he's talking to you. You get the impression that he's working on some sort of case, but maybe he's not doing it on the clock. There would be normally all sorts of procedures that you go through for this, but
okay. So then I'd say to him, I'm afraid I can't give you the authorization for that. You'd have to go through the head.
Well,
Tanya,
yeah,
did you speak to her?
Well, I mean, she sent me over to talk to you. She's pretty busy.
And so are we.
Yeah, I understand. I don't know. Okay, so last night, I found a body.
Really?
And yeah, looks like it might have been a homeless fellow. I would have guessed, at first that he'd frozen to death, but there was some really odd things about it. And I have a funny feeling that he came from a house, and I wanted to see where, I'm trying to figure out maybe where he came from.
Well, quite frankly, officer, the people that are still alive need our help.
Well, that's what everybody keeps saying, but
Yes. Why
I
don't
mean,
we get back to this when everything thaws out? Follow proper procedures. Right now, people are freezing to death, and we need to give them aid.
I was wondering if this guy was like wandering around or had some sort of distress. See, he was in his underwear and socks.
Well, that's a common symptom of extreme cold, hypothermia.
Yeah, no, I don't think
hallucinate, strip.
I think he was assaulted, but if there's nothing you can do.
No, I'm afraid not. Have you talked to your police chief?
The police don't care. They're too busy on other things to worry about homeless people. I just don't think the guy was homeless, but.
And you're an officer of this city, yes? Did you know him?
Yes. What's that?
Do you know your beat?
Of course I do.
Oh, well, do you know the identity of this man? Any friends and family that he had?
No, this is like I say, that's what I'm trying to find out right now. He's just John Doe. But I have a funny feeling that he's not. I mean, he doesn't look like a homeless person. He's clean cut.
Okay.
Uh, looked like he was in pretty good physical shape,
Right.
but he's in
I'm
his
going to pull
underwear
up a
and
map.
his
Where did you find this body?
over on Washington's.
And it's still there?
Oh no, it's in the city morgue.
Okay. And you said you knew the person.
No, I didn't say
Oh, okay.
that. I said that I found him while I was patrolling, looking for anything, out of the considering the disaster that's going on right now. Look, I'm interested in solving this. Nobody else is. If I can solve the case, then I'll maybe get a promotion or something. I've always
Here,
wanted
why
to be
don't
a
you take my
detective.
number? We'll keep in touch, but I am scheduled to actually head out right now. So
All right, all right.
if you have a little patience, maybe I can work with
Well,
you.
how about I give you two of my cards so that you can call me if you
Of
have the
course.
time. And it's Deputy Eli Filigree.
Okay.
And I think I have a correction. We found
Okay.
the body on. So you're going to continue to. He's going to walk away. It looks a little dejected, but
When he pointed out the location of the body on the map, how close was that to Skip's house?
a couple of blocks over from where
Okay. So
Skip's house is.
bite my lip a little, but as he's walking away, I'll make a hand signal and say, "Let's go, team." Just to make a show of being in charge.
Okay.
All right. Well, lead the way, Bones. Your car.
Yep.
Davidson. Sorry.
And I'll explain to them. I'll turn back. Who's driving, by the way?
I can drive.
All right. So I'll sit in the passenger seat and I'll turn back to you, Curry. So apparently this homeless fellow was found without any clothing, except for his underwear, a couple blocks away from Skip's.
It's strange. Paradoxical undressing is a symptom of hypothermia, but
That does happen.
it does.
So we can play
does.
it off for that if it's something else.
Yeah, if it's something else, we should definitely play it like that. But
the body is at the morgue, and if there is some kind of virus or spreading of this vector, we need to check out the morgue as well.
Yes, I agree.
For clarity, is this back in the suite or is this when you guys have boarded your vehicle?
I think we're
Most likely in the vehicle. But we can text. It's fine.
So, for expediency's sake, should we, since there are three of us, should one of us go to the morgue and figure out like a cause of death while the other two talk to Skip, just to see if there's a contagion going around that we could catch earlier?
Well, either way, I want Curry on both sites.
Okay.
So we'll probably have to do it one after the other. Which one's closer?
We could ask
the morgue or
Delilah and
Skip's?
Alarm to just go check that. Like, this feels a little more urgent than the cataloging of green box contents. But you're in charge, Bones. So let me.
Oh, I'm not in charge. I only pretend that I am. But that being said, you're the one with the medical expertise.
I don't know if Delilah or Alarm, they might. I mean, I'm the only one that's been forthcoming about my skills. I don't know if Delilah and Alarm could also help in that way.
Curie, with your expertise, do you reckon you could call the morgue so that by the time we're done contacting Mills, we could stop by and they've got like a full report ready for us?
Yeah, I think we could. That's, I think, easily enough to do. FEMA wouldn't have any business requesting an autopsy report or anything.
Maybe you could pitch it as we're on an interagency operation, and you're working on behalf of another agency.
I think I can spin that. I'm a bureaucrat. I'm a lawyer.
Yeah,
So-
I'm not so hot on bureaucracy, so if you want to give that, if you want to
So
make that call.
yeah, I could get Alarm and Delilah the credentials.
Okay. They could at least get the work started for us, like even if they don't have a medical specialty, looking at a body, sometimes we can tell when something's gone
Yeah, and
awry.
we can radio them because
Mhm.
it just occurred to me that the cellular towers are down, so we can't really text or
This is
call. So and radioing is unsecure. Well, I think we're just gonna have to leave them to cataloging, and when we get there, we get there.
Okay.
We're out on our own, and time's ticking.
Wait, so we don't have a way to call the
No.
door?
I mean, we can with the radio, but
Oh,
You got the
that's
walkie-talkies
unsecure.
is all.
landline's down too?
Uh, are they,
I would
Mr.
bet,
Handler?
given that storm, probably a lot of them, but there probably wouldn't be any functioning payphones to use.
Well, and
Right.
there's the power is down in areas, so it might also affect the.
If there's
Landlines.
telephone poles down, it'll just cut off the grid.
Some telephones will work, some won't. Some are buried cables. It's hit or miss.
Where is the coroner's office in relation to where we're going?
Downtown. It's not a huge town, so.
Yeah, which
um,
one's closer, the morgue or Skips?
Well, Skips is across the bridge.
Okay, and the morgue isn't.
Yeah, you guys are
So we'll just head to the
in
morgue
the city
first.
utilities.
Okay, let's do that.
Yeah, we could swing in, say that we've got a stop that we have to make, but let them know that our intention is to come back after that stop, and we'd like to have the body like prepped and like any paperwork or documentation that they have put together for us when we get back.
Okay, that sounds good.
Okay. So you're heading to the morgue first. Okay.
Yes.
And who's up back at the apartment? Okay. You guys, why don't you guys roll 10-sided dice?
Each of us?
Just one of you. I'm
Roll a 10.
not going to have you doing two different things at the same time.
So it's a 10
Oh,
from Delilah.
10. Okay. So you find a file folder that it's in a little valise with a zipper on it. You open it up, and there is an array of maps and pieces of paper that seem to have been marked up. Looks like from dates, it looks like maybe quite a few years of collecting. And as you go through the notes, you're pulling out these things.
Okay. Maps, material from Chicago. There's a meat packing location noted on one. There's a lot of the material is older. There's writing in Hebrew on it. And it looks like they're tracing something like a sewer line, maybe, or water lines. A postcard indicating one building. Yeah, this is an investigation. These materials are in a file folder in a zipped like leatherette.
Right. And the file folder says DG, temporary designation 4465798. Archival documents of Mr. Abner Leibowitz, city cartographer. As you go through it, there are 14 survey maps and they're dated from 1910 to 1924 in the Stockyard district of Chicago, Illinois. Um, there are things about Abner Leibowitz that he was charged with updating maps for city planning, electoral districts, census, and police records. Um, and then there are a bunch of things that show anomalies. And the anomalies, let's see, from 1912 onward, there is this Chambly meat packing plant. It looks like, although he could find all of the information on the maps for it, he even finds a postcard from a faraway building that you can see the meat packing plant. No matter what route he takes, and he's mapped out all of his routes, he cannot get to the Chablis meatpacking plant. No road leads to it. No, when you're on the street looking for it, it just doesn't seem to be there. This obsessed him for years to the point where he was finally terminated in 1923. He was then arrested in 1924 for breaking into the city archives. And then he vanished without a trace. He's not been seen since June 20th, 1924.
Or Abner. Oh, I wonder whether this has anything to do with, I mean, I wonder how this relates to other items in the green box. Would be nice. I guess that writing is Yiddish. I wonder, I can't imagine that anybody in town is going to be able to translate Yiddish for us.
Yeah. Remember, this is an abandoned green box, pretty much. So it hasn't been updated in 20 odd years at least. I think this is a really cool thing to look into, but I don't think it's particularly relevant to our situation right now.
No. It's relevant to the fact that our responsibility is to itemize as well as protect these things.
Yeah.
So that goes with the weird wooden head and the red violin and the scary printout.
And the puzzle box.
And the puzzle box.
I would like you both to do spot hiddens.
By which you mean?
I'm sorry. I always forget we're not playing Call of Cthulhu. What is it? No, alertness.
Alertness. Yeah.
Alertness. Ooh, just made it. I only made it by 3. So.
Okay.
I failed by 3.
Agent Alarm. As you're looking this over, you're chatting with Agent Delilah. It's suddenly something in the room that you're in has changed. You look over, especially when you make the reference. The head with the axe in it is not in the same place it was, or you're mentally tricking yourself, but it's on a different part of the counter. It's pointing in the different direction.
Delilah. I mean, that's the away team only left a minute ago, so maybe somebody moved some stuff around. I assume we're rebagging things after we make our notes because we are trying to limit exposure to this black tar, etc. But that primitive wooden head assemblage, wasn't the handle pointed that way before, so nobody would walk into it?
Huh. Yeah, it was. I don't know. Maybe
Let's
someone was messing with it.
yeah, it's very possible that somebody moved it. I'm gonna take a blank sheet of paper and line it up with the table that it's on so that it's flush. And I'm gonna set the head on it so that if it shifts anymore, I mean, everything's all the stuff was hard frozen before we put it in the vehicle, so it could be
Yeah.
warping as it thaws and stuff.
Blurring out, yeah.
But I don't like it.
Agent Alarm, do a. Wish I had a sheet in front of me. Call it a dexterity roll.
Sure. Oof, regular success, 41.
Okay. As you move the head and rotate it so that the handle's not sticking out, you realize that the axe is kind of loose.
Again, Delilah, maybe it's the thawing, but this has some wiggle room now. Do you think there's any reason to see if there's some marking inside the wooden head or some marking on the blade? Or
That's super weird. We were holding it up by the axe before.
yeah,
Part of me says poke the bear. Part of me says lock it in a box and don't touch it again.
yeah. It's the same feeling I had about looking at that printout. On the one hand, it's not comfortable. On the other hand, it might be relevant. Assuming that the objects in that green box aren't just a separate collection of random stuff. And I think they probably are part of one up, because this is such a dinky nowhere place. I mean, how much has gone on? I'm gonna re-glove, peel the tape back. It'll be easier to manipulate the thing and wrap it if it's not actually like that, because
That's true.
so I'm gonna have a look carefully.
I'm just gonna casually
What do you
hold
okay?
on to my big Leatherman torch as he does this. No reason, just holding on to it.
So I'm sorry, are you taking the axe out of the head?
Yeah. I mean, I'm opening the bag carefully with gloves on, and I'm giving it I'm pulling it out to see what's going on with the head and the axe blade.
Okay. The axe blade comes out fairly easy. Now you do imagine that it was jammed in there pretty tight, and maybe, like you say, the moisture and the air, it's loosened up. So you pull it out, and the axe is heavy, and the head is not very heavy. And as you remove the one, you're touching both of them.
I mean, I've got gloves on, but I'm
Right.
probably having to right, to pop
Just
it
a
out.
little bit, yeah. So it comes out it comes out. Once you've got them separated, what do you do?
I was basically interested in seeing what the inside of the carving looked like, where the axe was embedded, and if there was anything on the axe blade that
Okay.
wasn't visible.
So you're holding the axe here, and you're sort of looking down.
Sure.
As you look down into the crack of where the axe handle was, it's just wood. But the head seems to sort of roll off balance sideways, and you can do another dex roll to see if you catch it. Otherwise, it's just going to roll onto the floor.
Fine roll, 12.
Okay. So it starts to roll onto the floor. You think that you just had it imbalanced and it was rolling over. You try to lift it back up and set it back up on the thing. But if you let up any pressure on your hand, the head starts to roll again.
Delilah, this thing wants to move on its own. It's pretty round, as I recall. It's mostly it's more or less
Well,
spherical.
there's a neck, but there's
It's
Yeah,
a skinny
but it's
neck,
not
isn't it?
it's not sitting on its neck. It wants to roll.
Huh.
Um, I'm gonna let it go unless you
okay.
object.
Uh, my only concern is if we let go of it and it rolls away, it could be troublesome. Maybe we can, because it's inside a bag, we can just seal up the bag and hold onto the bag and then just sort of see if it wants to go somewhere. Like hold it free, and if it's gonna like move like something in suspension, if it's trying to get back to something, or if it's just unstable and rolling around.
I don't quite understand how we can hold it in a bag and let it go somewhere at the
So
same time.
if it's moving of its own volition and it's like being attracted to something,
Yeah.
then it would surely, if we're holding it in a big plastic bag, and it's able to like generate its own movement, we would see that movement in the bag itself. So like to test if it's actually moving or if it's just rolling around because it's unstable. If it's just
Okay.
rolling around, if it's unstable, we can just leave it alone, pretty much. Maybe
Yeah, I mean, there's
make the leg
possible
of
that
the
there's
table.
I mean, if the way it moved, it could be that there's, like a metal weight inside the head that makes it like a cheat dice,
Yeah, that's true.
which
You do
wouldn't,
notice, Agent Alarm, as you're talking to him and doing this, it really does now kind of seem like it's trying to roll on its own because you're holding it, you've got it balanced where it can't move, and it tries to sort of worm its way out of your fingers and go
yeah,
around.
it's
You
it
have
feels
to, you're constantly.
it feels a little like a kitten. It's like it's definitely not. I mean, if as long as we don't open any doors, where's it gonna get away from us?
There are air vents in this
It wouldn't
hotel
fit
room, aren't
in
there?
there.
Okay.
I mean, if it smashes through a window, we've got a problem, but it's not airborne at the moment.
Yeah, it depends how quick we can get to, I guess. And we can set it
I
for,
mean,
how little kids learn how to walk. We'll set it on one end, we'll stand on the other and see how quick it goes.
we could carry it to the bathtub and see if it just like keeps trying to roll out of the south
That's an
end.
idea. Bathtub's a great idea. Let's put it in
Okay,
there.
agreed. We've got an abundance of industrial plastic bags. So I'm gonna put the axe, loosely in one rather than just leaving it lying around to contaminate. And we'll go to the bathroom and see what the head does.
All right. So you roll it, you pull the curtain back, and you set it in the bathtub. When you do it, start slowly at first. It just sort of sits there for a moment, and then it starts to roll to the side, and it rolls to one end of the bathtub, and then it stops for a second. It rolls back to the other end of the bathtub, and then all of a sudden it turns and it's looking right at you. And it rolls this time more swiftly, not too swift. It's still just rolling, but it rolls to the end of the bathtub and sort of vaults itself up and out of the bathtub
Yeah.
and onto
Okay.
the floor.
Grab that. We're gonna grab that. I've still got gloves on. I think we should put the axe back in the head.
That sounds like a great idea, Agent Alarm.
Yeah. Any trouble doing that?
No,
Does
fairly easy
the
to grab.
does the angry wooden head seem to chill out when it's not?
What's weird is you don't really feel any physical force. It's not like trying to get away from you. Uh, it's just as light as it was before. But if you set it down and leave it for a second, it starts to roll.
Worthy of study. Don't want it getting away. Yeah. Let's just and I'm gonna take. Guess there aren't ashtrays anymore in a La Quinta Inn in 2017. I'm gonna take the Gideon Bible and whap the back of the axe head a little bit to wedge it in so it
Okay.
so that it's got a little bit of a grip. And then let's double bag that, make some notes, and wrap it up tight.
Very good, very good. I'll add it to the catalog.
I'd like you all to do an alertness roll, the two of you.
95.
98.
So you've picked it back up onto the counter. You've wedged the axe back into it, and you started to wrap it. Just as you start to wrap it, you hear. Sorry. I realized my microphone was way over there. Oh, yeah, you hear a laughter coming from it, a deep guttural sort of laughter.
I sense we may have made a mistake.
I mean, we returned it to the state we found it in. Maybe we have no phone signal, but a phone will still record. So let's give it, let's put it in a drawer, an empty drawer in the bureau with a phone, and let it record and see if it says anything useful other than chuckling uselessly.
Yeah.
Now,
like those snoring recorders.
The axe won't fit into the drawer with the head on it.
Closet then. I mean, we're not using this suite of rooms for any government cataloging, so just stick it in the farthest corner of the closet with I'll put my phone in there and we'll see if it makes any noise in the next half an hour.
So
should we do sand rolls for that episode?
Yeah, you can do sand rolls. This is the 1 or 2 points of sand.
D6.
So I rolled an 8 on this one.
Yeah. So 1 or 2. It's creepy as hell. All right. So the other agents are heading towards the morgue. You arrive at the morgue, or rather, as you are pulling up to the parking lot, you notice a police car that's sitting there.
That's your friend from earlier?
Yeah.
Muted.
It might be Eli. I'll take a note of his license.
Okay. So the morgue is this kind of old brick building. You can see that it stood up pretty well to the weather. There are large icicles, of course, coming down from the sides. Somebody has put up yellow caution, those foldy things, so that people don't walk underneath the gigantic icicles hanging down. That would kill you if it hit you. The roof seems to be, it's not flimsy, so it's a government building. It seems to be fine. There are maybe 4 brick steps going up to a double glass door. And of course, there's a sign on the wall that says, County Morgue. You can see lights on inside. There are other cars in the parking lot.
All right. I'll walk in like I own the place.
Yeah, if you could do the sweet talking bones, that'd be great.
Okay. There is nobody directly behind the counter at the moment.
I'm just going to walk into the morgue area basement.
Okay. Well, it's not a basement. It's a building.
All right, then I'll walk in.
All right. You walk in. There's a long, not narrow, cement and brick corridor. You can see that there are little posters and things on the walls, things to brighten your day, because it's kind of depressing working in the morgue. You can smell, antiseptic in the air. And as you go in, you can see there are some double doors on one side at the end. And there are, cutouts in the doors where you can see through.
Do I see Officer Filigree in any of them?
When you look through the doors, you can see Filigree there with somebody who looks like he's probably the the county coroner, and they are looking at a body. Filigree is kind of, as he's
I'll
doing
knock.
Who's that? They look back over at you, and Filigree goes, "Oh, that's the FEMA guy."
And I'll open the
Door's not
door.
locked. Yeah, it's open.
I'll say, Eli, I had a change of heart. I could see how much this was weighing on you.
Mr. Davidson, come inside. You brought some others with you.
Yes.
I hate to, have called you off your job. You guys are, like I say, nobody seems to be interested in this, but
well, he's a person too. So
we have been trying to identify. You come in, you're introduced all around. Since we've been trying to identify this fellow, he's got tattoos on his arm that seem to indicate that he is a Marine. By the way, the gentleman, the body is a young black man. Looks like he might be in his early to mid 20s. Clean cut, clean shaven, fairly in good shape. But he's got a number of serious scratch marks on his skin. And of course, he's got frostbite and so forth. He doesn't have frostbite on his feet because apparently he had his socks on. But it looks like he was assaulted. It looks like he was assaulted and didn't just die of exposure. There's what looked like some minor stab wounds. The coroner says they don't look like they're serious enough to have killed him, but perhaps he was running away from something and then ended up in a phone booth and curled up on the floor and died, probably of exhaustion and exposure.
Would you allow
records from that phone booth? Any phone
What's
calls
that?
That went out?
No.
Apologies, Mr. Davidson.
We haven't been able to trace anything like that, but
was there any residue under his fingernails? Like he fought back?
Actually there is, yes. There's human skin.
Yes, but
like
I don't know what
Officer
Filigree
wants with us, but however I can help.
Well, I was hoping perhaps that based on the phone booth where we found him, that we could see if he came from a house that had power to it, because he doesn't look like he's been exposed for a long time. That maybe we could go back and find the houses where he might have come from. Maybe there's other people out there. Maybe we find somebody else. And the Filigree says, I'm just trying to do some amateur sleuthing at this point.
Was anybody able to find a match with the DNA found under his fingernails yet?
We can't do any DNA testing, or we're cut off from the world.
I'd like to examine the body if possible.
Okay. Agent Curie, go ahead and do you have forensics or medicine?
Yes, I do have forensics. Forensics is the better of the two. 27 out of 60. That is a success.
Okay. As you're looking this over, you notice this person is lying here. He's still in his underwear and his socks. But when you sort of peel down the side of his underwear near his right buttock, you notice 4 oddly symmetrical puncture marks in his buttock. Um, they're discolored around the four marks. They don't look like cat claws or anything like that. They look rather odd to you. And when you put pressure on the skin right there, this yellowish liquid, it's bright orangey yellow, sort of oozes out of those spots.
I'll take a sample of that liquid. Can I think of a reason for this? I personally can't, but perhaps my agent could.
It looks completely alien.
Okay. I'll take a sample. I'll note it to Bones and Elkhorn as well. Mr. Lockley or Mr. Davidson. It seems a bit strange to me.
How far apart were the punctures?
I'd say, they're in a circle about that big. Maybe
Does it
2
look
inches
like it was
across.
made with a tool or a tooth or a claw?
Multiple
Do you want to
punctures.
do an even, closer examination of the wounds?
Yeah, I would.
What looks odd is 2 of them are different than the other 2. It almost looks like in both cases they were punctured by something that must have been hollow, and the surrounding bruising would indicate that 2 of the puncture marks showed that something with a great deal of pressure was being pushed into the young man's body. And the other 2 look the opposite, as if something were being sucked out of his body. Like some sort of pumping
Like syringes
mechanism.
or strange.
Yeah, not as sharp as syringes, more
Okay.
almost tooth-like.
Yeah, like a fang, like fangs.
Like fangs, yeah.
Could I make so my day job is as a game warden?
Okay.
Can I make like a science nature check to see?
Yeah. You know what? You don't even have to do that because you kind of know that it doesn't look like any animal that you've ever seen, but it does remind you of snake bites,
Okay.
or tarantula bites, something that
But
are
it's a circle?
punctures, but there's 4 of them in a circle.
Well, Mr. Locklear, does this look, and I'm trying to lower my voice here and exclude the others from this conversation. Does this look like venom to you?
Circular.
Like the liquid itself, does this look like venom? Have you ever milked a snake before? Is that what that looks like?
So does this look like something his body produced, like pus, or does this look like something that whatever bit him deposited?
Your best guess would be is that something was pumped into him and something was sucked out of him. There is lab equipment here.
This is a shot in the dark, but I'm getting like leech vibes off of this. I've been bitten plenty of times by those, and like it's not exactly the same, but snake bites be 2.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Spiders would be 2. But from pulling them fuckers off of me before, they do make kind of a circle. But not like this. I haven't seen anything like this.
And I'll confirm, Agent Elkhorn, that it does look very much like that. Only much, much larger.
My skin's crawling just thinking about the damn yuck.
I'm watching Eli. How is he taking this in?
He's fascinated. You can tell that his motivation is he wants to be Sherlock Holmes and solve this case and then get a promotion. But he seemed at first a little squeamish, but his fascination overcomes his squeamishness.
Okay. I think we're going to have to bring him along.
I'm wondering if this liquid that's coming out of this is like when anything kind of like a mosquito or a leech or whatever, they usually have like it's almost like a topical anesthetic, so you don't know when they bit you.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
But if we have equipment here, maybe we could see if there is something like that in this compound.
Honestly, we need to strip him down and do a full proper examination. If I'm pulling clothes off of him, then like he needs to be nude so that we can truly examine the body.
The coroner will be glad to assist if that's what you need.
Yes.
Do any of you have military backgrounds?
Yes. I was a Marine.
Okay. So what you thought at first were Marine tattoos, you look closer and you realize that he's with the National Guard. Your guess would be that there must be military bases somewhere nearby. They would know if somebody was missing.
Right. But we gotta check out Skip's house first before we follow up on this. I'll turn to Eli. What do you say you become our police escort? And we'll check out some houses in the area.
Well, okay.
I understand you're very interested in this.
I am, in fact, very interested, yes.
Okay, then you can ride with us.
Well, technically, understand, not really on the job right now. I'm off for a couple of days, but
what if I said we needed
here.
a police escort?
All right, yeah, I mean, there's ways around it. So Holly, do a medicine roll.
My medicine's quite low. Biology is a lot better, but if you would
rather do biology, that works too.
Okay. Didn't matter. By 1 point, I got an 81. I missed it by 1.
Oh, you can't spend luck in this game.
Nope, can't spend.
Horrible. So I'll give you this. You're looking at some of this substance underneath the microscope. And it's kind of baffling at first. You're not sure what you're looking at, but it's definitely some sort of an organic compound. And what's really bizarre is you've got a piece of the guy and you've got some of this stuff under your microscope. It almost seems like the yellow stuff is converting the flesh into something else. Like it's consuming it and producing a byproduct that's different, like it's altering its DNA.
That's distressing. Yeah, I'll have a conversation with Bones and Elkhorn about that.
Also, it's doing this at a rather rapid rate.
What's it converting it into? I mean, it's dead tissue now. Like, what's it doing with it?
It's well, you can tell that it's not highly viable at this point. Whatever had done this wasn't intending for this fellow to die.
Supposed to die. Yeah.
But I don't know. You're not sure. It seems to be breaking apart the DNA and reassembling it as something else.
Jesus Christ. Okay.
Which also makes you think that it's not like a virus. It's more of like something that an animal would use to, prepare.
Yeah, I think this body, we should consider this body a vector, and once we've learned everything we need from it, we should burn it and then
incinerate it.
Yeah,
you can also do sanity roll.
Yeah, absolutely.
One
nope,
or one.
That is.
Then 1d3 sanity.
Alrighty. 1d3.
Okay, so you end up doing. Autopsy's going to take a couple of hours.
Yeah, it will. If Bones or Mr. Davidson, Mr. Locklear, if you want to follow up on some of our other leads while I finish this up.
Sure.
Sounds good.
I'm going to make some small talk with Eli here. I want to know things like the precinct he's assigned to, his chain of command, his badge number, things like that. He's acting a little weird for a local beat cop in the middle of an emergency, having days off. You'd think all hands would be on deck for this. So I'm going to try to talk to him a little bit about this.
Okay. So he's forthcoming with all of his police stuff. He tells you that he's been going already for 8 days without a break. So he was kind of ordered to at least take a day off. They're doing police stuff. He complains a little about his work environment, that the police are kind of in a podunk county, and there's not much room for promotion. He didn't really want to be a beat cop. He wanted to be a detective, and so he does these things when he's not working, just to see if he can get ahead. You don't know you can't really assess whether he's good at it or not.
So
But
what else?
he seems honest and forthwith with all of his information.
So what else have you got on this case? Is this your first body you found, or is this something else that you're drawing connections to?
Well, I mean, to be honest, if I had found it, my first assumption was that it was a homeless person, somebody who just died of exposure. It happens, it's not unusual. We have the same sort of crime rates as everywhere else, lots of meth use and lots of problems like that. But in this case, he just looked like he wasn't a homeless person. And I went back to the station after we delivered him to the morgue, and I talked to the chief, and the chief was just like, "Look, you're making too much out of it. It's, just let it go. We'll worry about it way after everything is done. We've got, the police department has other things to do than spend their resources on this sort of thing." It probably didn't help that the kid's black. But I thought, this does not look like just a random death. This looks like possibly a homicide. In my head, somebody chased this kid out, and he maybe died of exposure, but he was definitely attacked. And I want to get to the bottom of it. The only way I could think of is see who's home, see who's out there, go door to door and ask some questions. I need to know where to go. That's why I wanted the power grid.
So this kid didn't have no ID, nothing.
Just his underwear and no ID, nothing.
And no one's reported anybody of this description missing?
Nothing. They might not be able to report. Maybe they don't have a phone. Maybe they're stuck. Maybe he got attacked by a dog. I don't know. But where did his pants go? Where did his shirt go? Where did his shoes go?
Definitely peculiar. So this is the first of this sort that you've seen?
Yeah.
Okay. What's the neighborhood like where he was found?
Mostly, a middle class, maybe middle to low class. The phone booth was actually in a district, that's mostly shops and buildings like that. They're all closed. So he didn't find any refuge there.
Okay.
But there's neighborhoods, all around.
Right. Well, I'm sure that we can find a trace on where he's from, and if someone hasn't already reported it, I'm sure that somebody is going to. I'm sure somebody's out there looking for him.
You guys are awfully, I didn't think that you female guys were going to be that helpful, but really all I needed to do was see the grid. You guys seem to be on your toes. You know what you're doing.
Someone's got it.
I hope I'm not taking you away from more important stuff.
Well, that's actually where we're headed now, but we wanted to see if we could assist local law enforcement when we can.
Right. Jared, you've got the list of locations we're going to first, right?
Yes, sir.
All right, then I suggest we start driving. Are you going to follow us in your cruiser or?
Yeah, I can do that.
Okay.
All right. Skip's house.
All right.
I'll stay with the John Doe and perform an autopsy.
Okay.
All right.
So you guys,
we'll
go ahead.
stop at a couple places first where we know nothing's going on. Just to convince this guy that we are FEMA until we go straight to Skip's.
Okay. So, okay, you guys leave. You guys are going to go do that. I'm sorry, what was that, Dan?
We're in a different vehicle than him, right?
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay, so what's the plan here if things go tits up when we get to Skip's house? How are we going to explain this to local PD?
Well, we'll see how he handles it. And if he handles it well, then potentially we have a friendly to replace the one that is causing trouble.
Yeah. It's rolling the dice.
It is, but we need all the help we can get. And he probably has his sidearm where we are unarmed.
Fair enough. Let's keep an eye on this guy.
Okay, so off you guys go. Agent Delilah and Agent Alarm, roll a 10-sided dice.
My turn. I got a 10 too.
Okay, we'll roll it
I mean, I
again.
should do it again?
Yeah. You
8.
find a head. No. 8. All right, 8. There is something in this bag that feels kind of heavy. It seems cylindrical, but there's something else in there with it. You open it up, and it looks like this.
Okay, we've got a printing block from a newspaper. There's a comic on it.
Yeah, and it's hard to read backwards.
The high cost of some models. Yeah, we need. Oh heavens!
Well, don't try to read it. I have to have a picture of it. But what you look at when you look at it and try to go in reverse is it's in French, and it seems to be a comic of some sort. Do you have any French?
I do not have any French, although it is a Romance language, so one can get, some
Bits and pieces.
Yeah. I mean, I could try an intelligence roll
Do an intelligence roll.
to see if I can pick out any important nouns or something. Regular success.
Okay. Agent Delilah, as you're looking over at Agent Alarm, he giggles a little. There are a little slightly risque jokes, fairly well illustrated. It's really hard to tell well unless you like did a rubbing of the thing or
Yeah, we need to get back to that ink pad and like a large block of paper to get a good read of it. But it does look like it's a comics sheet in a newspaper, or it's actually just a comic. Like
it looks like
Asterix.
it might have been in a magazine, you guess, from the size of it.
Is the top of the page on that roll?
Okay.
Because I'm curious if it's a French newspaper sheet or French magazine, because otherwise
you start to roll the thing in your hand to find the top of the page, and you keep rolling it, and the comic keeps going on, and you don't find the top of the page.
Oh.
In fact, you don't find the beginning
doesn't repeat.
of it.
It doesn't repeat, Delilah. It's changing as it goes. This is a hell of a green box to leave in this podunk for 15 years. Well, we'll have to see. I'm going to radio over and ask if anybody has French, just because. I assume that
You're rating on the rest of them. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a negative.
Nope.
Yeah. Yeah. How are things on your side?
Well, we have a nosy cop now that's following us around. He might be a potential friendly, he might be a potential liability. We have yet to judge.
The uh, roughly carved wooden head wants to move of its own volition, and it looked me in the eye, so everything's hunky dory over here.
That's quite a funny joke.
Yep, I'm
We're
trying
just
to keep it light. It's all been pretty scary, but yeah, we've liaisoned and we're trying to keep things under control.
Right.
Agent
Apparently,
Go ahead.
a body was found. So I assigned one of the FEMA operatives to work with the morgue while we're going to continue with our analysis of the grid.
That body was not anybody we knew was missing or were concerned about.
As far as I know, it looked like a National Guard.
Understood. Condolences to his. All right, we're continuing the organization. Interesting stuff. Interesting stuff in this little town.
Yes.
Rather unnervingly Agent Alarm, when you tell Agent Bones about the head, you hear something kind of knock on the closet door, as if it were hitting the axe handle, even though it's wrapped up against the closet door.
Right. Okay. Well, I'm sure you've got your hands full. We're going to start with those important recordings too, and get back to you.
Sounds good.
Hey, David.
Yeah.
Something just occurred to me. That dead body with the National Guard tattoos. Let's check in with the local units helping here and see if they're missing someone from their ranks.
Yeah, I think that's a good idea. But are we almost there?
You're almost there.
Okay.
Agent Delilah, why don't you roll a 10-sided dice for me? Agent Delilah?
I'm sorry, I completely spaced out there. Sorry, what are we talking about?
I just said roll a 10-sided dice.
I can do that. 3.
3. So there's a box, and it's a fairly substantial box. You open it up, and it looks like there are something inside, a number of things, quite a few things that look like cardboard, torn cardboard. But you know how you can vacuum wrap things, and you use the cardboard, to keep them flat. There's something vacuum packed against this cardboard, and as you pull a couple of them out, they look like this. They are
I'm gonna very carefully close them again.
meat with veins.
Veiny meat. Wonderful.
If you look closer, you can see bits of hair and maybe teeth. And each one of them is different. They look like letters of the Greek alphabet, maybe?
Yeah. I think that's an epsilon and a delta or lowercase.
Very good.
And they're kind of soft and squishy, but they're
gross,
under plastic.
Gross. No, thank you.
Yeah. How does that dark, oily material look like the stuff that's dry on the axe handle and on the
I don't know. You don't know.
artillery?
Could be. One
Does it?
oily black stuff is very much like other oily
They
black
look.
stuff.
Does it look like the stuff on the axe handle seem to be dry and inert? Are these? Do these move around when tilted?
They're definitely soft and liquidy. Um,
Oh,
and you're not sure if by touching them, even though there's plastic between you and them, whether they don't sort of react a little.
mm, yeah. Boy, there is not enough ever. I want to set one. Is there a triangular one
Like a
like the
capital delta? No, they're all the lowercase letters.
all lowercase letters? It's a pity because it would be funny to have a capital for. I want to. So I'll just take one at random, and I want to set it on the bedside table and with a light on it, and I'm going to look at it closely to see whether it
Like
heat any
think here.
independent motion.
Well, when you do that and you look at it closely, and it's got that sort of translucence, to flesh, you're pretty sure that there are veins and things, maybe even little organs of some sort inside of them. And they are, good God, maybe they're alive.
This tissue seems active, Delilah. I'm could we maybe we'll double bag these again and
Yep.
like wrap that bag put that bag in a box and then wrap that box in another bag and tape it up real good because they're not getting oxygen. They shouldn't, it can't, it's unacceptable.
Yeah,
Do
I would
sanity
like
rolls.
to be very far away from this. This is uniquely unpleasant, and I failed my sanity roll.
A bad box. I filled mine too.
1d4.
1d4.
No smell,
Oh.
though.
Only one.
Only one for me as well.
Why would they smell? They're alive.
Whoever packed them well.
I'm so glad.
Yeah, you even can sort of tell which ends is the face. It's not really a face, but
Well,
Ew.
they seem to have been packed face up so that they can keep an eye out.
you don't see
One
an
little
eye.
mercy,
but-
maybe. I don't know.
They shouldn't have teeth
No, they shouldn't.
or
Now,
toothlets.
I think that's enough cataloging of green box for me for the minute. I'd like to start looking through the CCTV I stole from the storage unit facility.
Okay.
It's a bit of a brain break from the horrible shit that we're looking at. That'd be great.
I think that's a really good idea. I'm going to see if I'm going to go down the hall and raid the snack machine. What do you, anything you like? Soft drinks or cheesy treats?
If they've got any Twinkies, nothing goes down like a good Twinkie.
Well, to each their own, Agent Delilah.
All right. So, as the rest of you turn a corner onto a street, these are all, small one-story bungalow houses. You as you're pulling up to the address, there is a car in the parking the garage sitting there right there in front of it on the driveway. And you see when Filigree gets out of his car, he points like this, and you can see that one of the street lights is on. It's in the middle of the day. However, it's completely packed on top of it with ice, which blocks the light thing that turns it on. So it thinks that it's night, but it's on. And he says, "We got power in this neighborhood."
We're doing a wellness check.
Okay. But you know that you have power in this neighborhood because Skip's house, you can hear blaring music from inside the house. In fact, it's not just music. It takes you a second to figure out what piece of music, rock and roll, acid rock, whatever is playing. But it's not just that. You can also hear television broadcasts. You can also hear other music going on in there. He's got everything turned up to 11, and he is, it's just a cacophony of noise that's deadened a little bit by being outside, but you can definitely hear it. You also don't see any light coming through the windows because apparently he's papered over all of the windows with something. And Filigree's like, the hell's this?
Oh, this is a public noise disturbance.
Yeah, let's have Eli stay back in the squad.
Why? He's the cop. Should knock on the door and get the music to stop. Because he's siphoning a lot of electricity off the grid, stressing our systems even more than they need to be.
Let's get this, whoever it is, to stop. So he walks up to the door. As you all are walking, you guys are behind him. There is there's a door. You step up onto the porch. The door is just to the right, but there is a window that would look into like the kitchen or something that's right there. It's completely pasted over with pornography. And
so that's probably illegal, and I point to that.
He's like, "What the fuck is going on here?" And he bangs on the door. Knock, 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 knock. Nothing.
He's not going to hear you. Let's just go in.
Well, I mean, there's regulations. You can't really just burst in.
But you want to be a good detective, don't you?
I mean, we could decide that he's in distress. We need to.
Okay, so he is.
Check.
Open the door.
Exigent circumstances.
So he tries to open the door, and it is locked. He says,
All right, back up.
He steps away.
All right. That be just a strength check, or?
Yeah, do a strength check.
Nope.
Okay, you hit the door pretty hard. It rattles, but it doesn't open.
All right, Bones, you didn't see that. Ow.
Dude, this is inane. Look at that. And I just point at the porn again. I'm like, this goes against my values.
Well, how about one of you help me and we'll both try to shoulder it in.
Sounds good. What if
Round
someone
two.
sees this? That wouldn't be good. So I'll help
And
him.
he looks
shoulder
around
it
and he
in.
says, "I don't think anybody's here. Neighborhood's almost empty. There's a car way down there."
Homeowner association is
right.
going to have a field day.
So whoever helps him,
Yeah,
you guys shove against the door. You hear the door frame crack a little, and another shove, and the door busts open. You guys are hit by almost deafeningly loud cacophony of noise. You're also blasted by heat. The temperature inside must be in the 90s. The heat must be going like crazy. And aside from the horrendous smell, which is not dead body, but you know what the smell is, every square inch of the inside has been papered with pornography, glued up, stapled up. There are torn up magazines all over the floor where he's gotten this stuff from. It's insane. And it's probably also obvious that he has made a lot of the room sticky. Um, the TV is blaring. It's the news, but it's at full blast. The radio, everything is just making a horrendous noise. But you don't see anybody.
I'm going to turn the thermostat down to 65.
Okay. You turn the thermostat down, or it's going to take a long time for that to happen. How about
So,
the noise?
Eli, what's your procedure for this?
He can't hear you.
Hey, let's just start clearing rooms.
Yeah, I'll start turning off the TV.
Okay. You turn off the TV, you turn off the radio, you cancel all the noise that's going on. You're in the living room. You can see there's a hallway that leads out. And as you're standing there in the living room, getting ready to go through the rest of the house, you look over at the arch going into the hallway, and walking past the archway going down the hall, you see this completely naked, lightly bearded man. He is emaciated. He is fully erect. And as he's walking by, he looks like he's in kind of a daze. He gets halfway past the doorway and then suddenly turns and he sees all of you in the living room. And everything happens very quickly, but do an alertness roll. Filigree doesn't matter.
Pass.
All of you can do alertness roll.
Yep.
So this very strange look comes over this man's face. It's a weird combination. It looks like he is immediately red-skinned angry at you for coming in the house. But in his eyes, he's both terrified, he's crying, and he's trying to not react. But what he does is, who's the closest? Agent Elkhorn, you are the closest. He leaps at you with his teeth bared, and he's just like, ah, like this, coming at you. And grossly, he probably orgasms as he's doing it. But he is going to full on attack you with everything that he's got. And he looks like he weighs 90 pounds, like he hasn't eat or drank in days. So he doesn't look like a challenge, but he is going to attack you. Do you want to fight or?
Can I tase him?
I don't think you have enough time to get your taser out, but you can try to get it out. I think he's going to get to you first.
Okay, yeah, I'm gonna try to fend him off and like uncap that.
Okay, do a what is it?
I believe.
Do we do dodge rolls?
Okay.
Or you're going to try to tase him at the same time. All right, you're fighting back.
Okay. That is a success on that.
Okay. At the same time that he sort of grabs you, and he doesn't weigh much of anything, you sort of counter by hitting him in the side with your taser. Okay. That's happening. What are the rest of you doing?
What's the cop doing?
The cop has just stepped back like he's, what the fuck is going on?
I'm going to yell at the cop to do something.
What the fuck do you want me to do?
Tase him.
Okay, so you guys are going to talk instead of attack. That's fine.
Yeah.
Agent Elkhorn, you jam that thing into his side and hit the buttons, and it's what, like 35,000 volts or 150,000 volts. And you see his body shake. And when it does, this look of ecstasy comes over his face. And once again, he orgasms. And as he does, he throws his arms around you and he tries to pull you in closer. And as he does, he opens his mouth. And this thing comes out of his mouth that looks like an eel or a tube. It's got 4 little fangs on the end of it, and it snaps at you, and it is going to attempt to bite you in the face.
No.
It doesn't. It misses, but he's now trying to wrestle you to the ground, and he seems to be gaining strength.
So he's not incapacitated by the taser?
No. In fact, he liked it.
Okay. Here, help me pin this guy down.
And he's screaming. Now, as you're trying to pin him down, you're also seeing in his face that same sort of horror and tears as he is trying to get you with this thing. So you're struggling him to the ground. Go ahead and roll.
Help me cuff him.
He got a 98, so Filigree doesn't know what to do. He's running forward now, taking Elkhorn's thing and trying to pin the guy's arms down.
And as he's doing that, I'm going to take his sidearm.
Okay. That is harder than you think, but go ahead and try.
Probably. What would you like?
Do a dex roll.
Dex? Okay. God, please help. No, I failed.
Yeah, you can grab a hold of it, and he doesn't really notice that you're doing it, but okay. He's got one of those modern holders where it's really kind of hard unless you're pulling it out in the right direction, that it doesn't come out very well. He's like, help me.
Yeah, we got to get this guy.
Okay. Elkhorn, you can go again. This thing is now writhing around trying to latch onto you.
Okay, so where are we at? So Eli is helping me. Is this guy, is he cuffed or?
No. He is physically flailing and trying to struggle, and you guys it's all you can do to hold him down.
Okay, all right. Everybody needs to help me get this guy cuffed. I'm going to try to grab his arms and link the cuffs. Didn't get a good roll.
Okay. The thing got a regular, it got a 12, but that's just regular. As you are trying to wrestle him around, this leech-like thing whips back and grabs a hold of your arm and bites down into your arm. Okay. You'll only take 1 point of hit damage, but it's latched itself onto you.
Okay. Well,
actually, it's Filigree can try. Filigree is kind of losing his shit.
Keep it together,
Bones,
you son of a bitch.
Bones, you can try.
All right, I'm taking his handgun.
Okay, you're gonna pull it out.
Then I'm gonna shoot the thing that's latched onto Elkhorn's arm.
Are you going to shoot just the thing, or are you going to shoot my Skip?
Just the thing.
Okay. Go ahead and try.
All right. God help me. 10 out of 50. Okay.
Okay. So that's regular. You shoot. Go ahead and do a damage roll.
Okay. D10, I'm assuming.
Yeah.
9.
Okay. Your bullet strikes like dead center in this thing. It's also right next to Skip's head as the bullet goes through. It's also right next to Elkhorn's arm, but your bullet goes through it and into the ground, and it kind of splatters. You've definitely blasted. Probably severed it.
Okay.
And this bright orangey yellow stuff splatters all over the ground. The thing writhes for a few seconds afterwards, and it lets go of Elkhorn. At that point, Skip Mills begins to vomit profusely. And the rest of this thing, which seems to have like long, snaky filaments all over its back end, it comes pushed out of his mouth. And when it comes out and he sputters and he gurgles as he does this, he looks up at you and he says, "Oh, thank God." And then he dies.
Well,
yeah, you can all do Constitution rolls.
Awful. I passed. 40, almost a crit. Not crit. 43 out of 50.
Okay.
I failed.
Yeah, if you fail, you throw up. And Filigree is going to, what the fuck, in God's name, what the fuck? And he's gotten up and he's backing away. It's like, what the fuck is going on? Who the hell are you people?
We need to talk.
Worm thing still moving around, or
it twitched a little bit and then it died.
Okay, I'm going right for the liquor cabinet and finding the highest proof spirit and just pouring it all over my arm.
All of the liquor in the place is gone. It's there. The bottles are there, but
Jared, try getting it on ice.
Yeah, I'm going to do that, and then we must have
There's
first
snow.
aid
Yeah.
at least in the cop car, right?
Yep. I'm assuming.
So I'm going to go out where it's
I'm
cold.
going to keep Eli's handgun. I'm going to tuck that into my belt.
I'm going to go to the squad car and get his first aid kit and like clean the whole area, and then
okay.
Yeah, I can help.
very
with that.
cold, like apply snow and ice onto my arm.
So, Agent Elkhorn, you can feel that two of the puncture wounds, they have a kind of a, say, I mean, it feels as if somebody has done an injection wrong. Like, sometimes when you get a shot, the vaccine doesn't go quite in the right spot. It makes a big lump in your muscle. That's what's happened to two of those spots. The other ones don't hurt as much.
So
but you can see little bits of blood where those two are.
Do I feel like there's something under my skin in those lumps? Like
when you push on it, yeah, that yellow goop, that yellow-orange goop kind of comes out.
Yeah, I'm gonna cut those open and use like if he has like an eye cleaning like saline bottle, like irrigate the shit out of that.
Okay. Yeah, that's not that hard to do, but you can do 1 hit point of damage.
Okay. Yeah, try my best to clean that up, keep it cold, and then I guess bandage over it and occasionally replace the bandage and check to see if anything's progressed.
Well, it hurts. It's bruised, definitely. But you think you got all that goop out.
God.
Filigree is now sitting outside on the front porch, shaking and freaking out.
I'm going to sit right next to him, and I'm going to put my hand on his shoulder.
What the fuck is going on?
It was a bit much, wasn't it?
What was wrong with
So
that
what do you
guy?
think we should do? And I'm going to gauge his response.
What do I think you should do?
I mean,
I
there's a
don't
cop
know.
here.
Call the CDC? What is it? What I've never seen anything like that in my life. What was that thing inside of him?
Do you think that the world would be better off knowing or not knowing?
Knowing what?
Whatever the hell that thing was.
Are you guys the Men in Black? Is this some sort of alien invasion shit?
We might be. Can we trust you?
What are you going to do about it, Eli?
He seems conflicted for a moment. You can see him running it back and forth inside of his brain. And he says, I'd want to know.
But can you be trusted?
I got no. What do you think? I'm going to run to my boss?
But
He'd
I
just
have,
laugh at me. Everybody would just laugh at me if I told them what I just saw.
what are you going to do about it?
I don't know. What do you want me to do about it?
I
You
want you
think
to
I'm
help
going to
cover it
tell?
up.
That's a start.
Cover it up.
Well, you're going to very carefully do anything that we tell you to do. Do you understand?
Okay.
It's for the good of the world.
His eyebrows go up at that, and he's like, "Oh, okay."
So can we trust you, Eli?
Yeah, I think so.
Good.
We got to search the house.
Well, fortunately, the monster or alien that was inside of him was shot and not Skip himself. So that's less we have to explain. We need to Elkhorn, get Curry, explain what happened, because she might need to examine you. And make sure to keep that on ice. This thing doesn't seem to like the cold.
So do you want me to take one of these vehicles and go to the coroner's and leave you here, or?
Yeah, I'll stick with Eli, and we'll.
You do have walkie-talkies.
Yeah,
Okay.
we'll say it in such a way that it's not obvious. But yeah, I'll stick with Eli and search the rest of this place.
All right, I'll take.
And I have his gun, so.
I'll take our rig so that I didn't steal a cop car.
Yep.
Okay. So Eli has a lot of questions, but he seems very cooperative. You very quickly can assess that he thinks that he has stumbled on, something like the Men in Black, and that maybe you won't neuralize him, and that he'll maybe get in on that stuff. But he doesn't himself know whether he can handle it, because he never believed that any of this even existed. But he knows that something weird's going on. You seem to know more about it, so he trusts that
Right.
you're going to.
As I walk him through the house, I'll be like, everything you've heard, most of it is real.
And as you say that, you step from the hallway into one of the bedrooms. And in your entire career, in your entire imagination, nothing could quite prepare you for what you see. This is obviously his mother's room. Laying on the bed is his mother. His mother? That's his mother? There is a face, there's a head of an old woman staring wide-eyed, open towards you, but the body, it's as if she's been sort of, imagine if you took an eggplant and you cooked it until it was black and then dropped it on the ground and it split open and oozed everywhere. That's what's on the bed. It looks like she bloated up and then split and fell apart. And there's not much in the way of organs on the inside of her body, but there is that orangey yellow goop everywhere, as if something split her from the inside out and got out. You also notice that the texture of her, well, you don't feel it, but you can see that the texture of her body has been changed. It's almost like she's thick eggshell with this black purpley sort of color to it, as maybe bruising or whatever. But the goop is all over her. The goop is on the walls, on the floor, and the window is broken. And there is definitely what look like claw marks or foot marks or something that has climbed up the wall and out the window. Something bigger than a snake in the guy's throat. And filigree screams. And he passes out.
I'll catch him before he hits his head on something.
You can do a sanity roll as well.
93.
Do a 1d6 on that one.
All right. 1.
You're staunch and affected. The smell is horrendous. You don't find anything else in the house. But whatever it is went out the window.
Yeah, I'll ready that in.
So you all hear what Agent Bones is.
Skip is taking a permanent vacation, but he has caused some damage that's now running around.
Gotcha. I sure hope that he didn't leave anything behind, like a lit oven or something, because it might take authorities a little while to respond.
I'm not so sure that until I get back from Curie, how temperature affects this, I'm going to hold off on the fire.
Yeah, I'm still working through those tests, Bones, but I'll let you know as soon as I know.
I'll babysit the passed out police officer. He thinks we're the men in black. It would be wise to keep up that charade.
Doesn't seem that difficult. Do we know of any? I guess you need to. Maybe we should put your new friend someplace comfortable and make sure there aren't any other incubators in the house. I mean,
oh, it's just me by myself then.
Well, I just mean that our erstwhile friend seems to have been extremely productive in the last couple of days. So if there's a cellar, that's why I think the cleanest thing might be bright light. But yeah, understood. Everything over here is hunky-dory. Delilah's watching videos.
All right. Well, I'll be waiting in the police car with our friend until I hear back from Curie.
You might as well open all the windows, right?
Yeah, I think that's a good idea.
And turn the furnace off altogether.
Yes.
Save energy. It's an emergency after all.
That's right.
So, Delilah, you hook up the VCR. You start to watch it. And you probably do a lot of fast forwarding. You can see almost when the storm starts. You can see the snow and ice building up. You see the tree suddenly cracks and falls over and hits the side of the building. It looks like maybe 1:30 in the morning, early in the morning. You see headlights, and then after a couple of seconds, you see Skip Mills. He approaches. He does almost exactly what you guys did. He looks side to side, over the tree into the box. He's got his flashlight. He climbs up and over the wooden tree, whatever kind of tree. He climbs over the tree and he goes into the box, and you then can't see him. And then maybe 25 minutes later, You see him come stumbling out. He stumbles out of the box. He puts his hand on the tree. He's looking like he's coughing, like he's choking on something. He starts to climb up and over the tree, and he vomits. And you see this yellow vomit come out. He keeps grasping at his throat, clawing at his chest, and putting his hands on his head, like he's got a headache or something. And then he eventually he stumbles back towards his car and drives away. So 1:30 a.m. on, where's my dates?
Second, the third?
The third.
Right.
The third, early in the morning.
As soon as Delilah gets, those digits, I want to just radio back and say, cold does not seem to impede Skip's the cold Skip got, because he was only inside for a minute when he encountered his infection.
But
Well, he's
my
putting on his face
hypothesis I have is that the cold slows down incubation.
Well, he did like it warm, but cold didn't prevent infection.
Okay, so with that, gee, it's a real shame that the gas was on and there was a electrical fire.
Yeah, after these disasters, there's always those aftershocks, a little wire, a branch falls and some wires get crossed.
Are you going to set that up with Filigree knowing? I mean, he definitely
he's
knows.
knocked out, right? He's unconscious.
Right.
Do I have demolitions? I do not. I have...
Well, if you just tell me how you're going to do it.
Yeah,
there's
is there
definitely a lot of burnable paper in
Great. Hey, you know what? I think I'll search the backyard for a grill and a propane tank, and I'll shove that into the oven.
Okay.
And get out of there.
All right. You're taking him with you?
Yeah.
You've got the cop car.
Mm-hmm.
All right. So after all of this, Agent Alarm, there were some stacks of yellow pads. You start to look through them. The top pad is this.
Delilah, I've got some more text. If you want me to take it into another room so you don't hear it.
No. Go for it. I'm happy to listen.
Okay, so we've got bloody legal pad. There's a note, November 3rd, 1981. Suicide note, Ryan Whitehead, former author and journalist. Oh, wow, that's, ugh. We should put 2 pairs of gloves on. Former author and journalist, resident San Francisco, California, self-inflicted gunshot wound, suspected of murdering 2 collectors. All right. So the suicide note reads, "This is the end of it. I once had a career. I was cocky, but things got too strange. When I try and remember the things I saw, it all scratches and rustles in my head like a nest of hornets. I tried to write it down, but it's never right. The jungle, the horrible dreams, the night sweats. No, I'm fucked. I have tried to drown the pain with drugs and alcohol. It's burned into me. I tried, but there's no getting this out of my soul and onto the page. I have hit the limits of fiction. There ain't nothing like them in the history of the world. There aren't words that can make any sense of it. It's a flavor of terror that has no equivalent. But maybe it was actual journalism all along? No fiction in this madness, only the banging and the scratching, nightmares. I'm very tired. I'm tired of this madness, tired of feeling like there is no future for me. Nothing can save me from what I have seen. I thought I could write it down. I can't cope anymore. I'm sorry. This is it, the last thing I will ever write. I'm sorry. I don't think you will understand this fully, but whatever you do, don't open the box.
We can leave it there. Come back next time. I will tell you that there are quite a few yellow legal pads in the stack, which you can go through. Our players included Holly Buto, Riley Kruger, Alex Sun, Danopoulos, and David Gasaway, with yours truly as the handler. We have a Discord server where you can chat with other members, you can set up private games, and you can learn the finer arts of gameplay and game mastering. We provide audio-only versions of our shows free for you to download from Spotify, iTunes, or Podbean. If you'd like to help support our show, please visit our Patreon account. Just $1 a month helps us a lot. Like, share, and subscribe to our channel, and punch the bell icon for updates on our latest shows, and leave us some comments. We enjoy reading them and answer any questions you might have. This is Thom Raley, together with all the members of our gaming club, inviting you to journey with us once again into the darkness for another adventure into the universe of H.P. Lovecraft and the Delta Green role-playing game. Until next time, good luck and good gaming.